moving down to the sump and the engine room in the tank, if you'd seen some of my earlier videos, or going back 5 years, you would see very little has changed. And it's running exactly the same way, well, virtually the same way, as it was from day one. So starting with the skimmer, it's a Nyos 160. I started off with the 120 and upgraded it about 4 years ago. It's built really for tanks of 1,000 litres, and this is about 450 litres. The reason why I went for an oversized skimmer is I use no pox, and with no pox you really need an efficient and bigger skimmer to enable you to skim wet. And as you can see, I do skim wet, and that really helps. I export both phosphate but predominantly nitrate, but I'll come back to that in a little while. I do like the Nyos skimmer. It's a quality piece of kit. It is well built piece of kit as well, easy to clean. The only downside is that I find 3 to 4 times a year it decides to overflow for no apparent reason. It could be linked to when I clean it or I run carbon, and what I need to do then, raise it on some egg crate and let it settle, and then you put it back onto the floor of the sump. A bit frustrating, but it's outweighed really by the build, and also how efficient it is, the amount of bubbles it creates, and how it really pulls out crap day in, day out, and it's a real workhorse. Moving on, got 2 Apex DOS dosers, had those since set up, haven't changed them at all. I find they're real workhorses. They're not stepper motors, so I would expect it to have replaced the heads by now, but I haven't, so that's really, really good. 4 dosing heads, and I dose Red Sea Foundation A, B and C, and that is magnesium, alkalinity and calcium. I run the alkalinity from 7:30 in the morning to 9:30 in the evening, and then between about 1:30 in the morning and 6 in the morning, that's when I dose magnesium, calcium and also no-pox. No-pox is the main export of nutrients. I've been running that for 5 years, and that is dosing at about 6.5 millilitres per day, which is not a great amount. When I had tangs, it was 14 millilitres a day. But what I've done is I've added 2 kilograms of maxspect bioballs. That was probably about a year ago, and what that has allowed me to do is reduce the no-pox and also keep the nitrates pretty stable. So nitrates run at about 2.5 to 5, and phosphates usually 0.03, and I find that kind of level optimum for a mixed reef tank. So it's enough dirty water for the LPS, the chalice and those kind of corals to allow them to grow and feed, but also it's not too much for the SPS, albeit I haven't got high-end SPS. Red Planet is probably the one that is probably the hardest to keep, and the rest are pretty hardy. So that's on that side. Return pump, I upgraded to an Ecotech M1 when it first came out. That's about 4 years ago. That is running at about 50%, and again it's a workhorse. I clean it probably once a year, and that works well. In terms of ATU, so auto top up, I use the built-in one from Red Sea. Now I know a lot of people change over. I haven't. I do find it blocks a couple of times a year because it's on a float valve. So if I go away, I do actually use a Tunzi, and you've seen from 2 videos when I was away, I set up the Tunzi because I don't trust it if I'm not here or no one's here. If I go away and there's people here, then I'm more than happy to do it, because what I don't want is the float valve to seize up and then it dries up and it blows the M1. So overall, I keep my parameters: alkalinity at 7, calcium at 450, and magnesium at 1400. I've just kept them at that level for a number of years. There's no real reason why I keep alkalinity low. Some people keep about 8.5, 9. I just kept it low, and that has served its purpose for the last 4 to 5 years, so I don't see any reason to change it. Thanks for watching my latest video, and if you enjoyed it, why not press the like button or subscribe to future updates.